Welcome back to the D1Softball podcast. I'm Jenna Becerra alongside my co-host Amanda Lorenz, and today's episode is brought to us by our friends at S2 Cognition. S2 Cognition delivers a revolutionary approach to helping athletes understand how in-game decisions impact their performance from the youth levels all the way to the pros. And we have an exciting lineup. I am in Oklahoma City right now, and we miss having you here with us, Amanda, but I'm so glad that we still get to talk about everything because there is a lot to talk about.
So much to talk about. How exciting. The best time of the year. What a crazy weekend.
Oh my goodness, you said it. So today's lineup, we will talk about some postseason Women's College World Series stuff, of course, as well as the plays of the week and the win and whiff of the week. So first, Amanda, just with postseason stuff, thoughts on the super regionals that we just witnessed. Was it the best, or at least the most dramatic supers that we've ever seen?
It felt that way, right? Like we get us getting 5 if games, like 5 game threes on a Sunday. I was so excited that I had so much softball left to watch. It was just it was so competitive.
So competitive. Yes. Gainesville, Columbia, Knoxville, Austin, and Stanford all in the same day. That was wild. Like wild is the only word to describe it.
Yeah. Pure chaos.
And we love it. Like we loved every second, I think.
100%.
And 2 quote unquote upsets in the sense that Duke, as the number 10 seed, did defeat Mizzou on the road. And number 14, Alabama, did beat Tennessee, the number 3 seed, in Knoxville as well. So those were big time performances, to say the least.
Absolutely insane. I think that Duke, most people picked Duke. At least we picked Duke. We thought that Duke was going to come through. I don't know who chose Alabama. Like, I didn't see that. Obviously, I did not see that. We'll get into that later in the episode. But what a different team. Like, who was that Alabama squad that we saw this weekend? And also, like, Tennessee, I mean, you know, they unfortunately, they had their coldest weekend of the whole year. The most important weekend of the year.
Yeah, I feel like same, where it's like, who was that Alabama team and also who was that Tennessee team? Because neither looked familiar, but that's what happens, right? It's a new season. Like these are the types of things that happen every year. It's wild. Yep. But I think also just everyone knows this, but just to be super, super clear. So there were 3 Big 12 teams with OU, Oklahoma State, and Texas all making it. 3 out of 5 teams from that conference who got into the NCAA tournament. So pretty high conversion rate there to get to Oklahoma City. 2 Pac-12 teams with UCLA and Stanford, 2 out of 7 who made it to the NCAA tournament. 2 SEC teams with Florida and Alabama out of 13, all 13 that made it into the tournament. And then, of course, 1 from the ACC and Duke being one of the 5 ACC teams that made it into the tournament. So that is our 8 teams, the whole set ready to go for, like you said, Amanda, the best time of year.
Absolutely. It's so exciting. I think we're in for a real treat. It really feels like for the first time in many years that we don't know what's going to happen. Like, I feel like it's been so certain for the last at least 3 years that we were like, Oklahoma is head and shoulders above everybody. It's really no competition. Why is anybody else even here? The Sooners are going to win. It doesn't feel like that this year. It feels like it's more of an even playing field, and I'm so excited to watch. If Super Regionals gave us just an insight to how amazing this World Series is going to be, I think our minds are going to be blown. And hopefully, I'm seeing a lot of extra inning games, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a few of these teams are pretty used to that. Alabama being one of them with the 14 innings for game 2 to get the win over Tennessee in Supers. That was insane.
Wild.
My goodness. And even some of the games that didn't necessarily go extra innings, but they still took multiple hours to finish.
Oh my gosh.
Also,
totally.
Like it was wild in Austin too, with all the back and forth and the roller coaster between those 2 Texas rivals.
Craziness. Like Texas A&M did not look like a 16 seed. Like that was not an easy fight. You know, usually you think you're the number 1 seed, you get kind of an easier path. You earn it. They did not have an easy path. Oh my gosh, those fighting Aggies looked ready to roll. I was like, are the Aggies about to go to Oklahoma City? I really felt there for a minute. I like wanted to change my pick to A&M because oh my gosh, they looked so good. They were so fun to watch. That was so crazy.
Yeah, like when you leave a season like that too, as much as it hurts, when you know, okay, we have so much to build on, there's still like some sort of positive to take going forward in a program. Especially it's Trisha Ford's second year as head coach. That is crazy. And we had her on the show. I think we got a glimpse into how she's been able to do it in such a short time, but to see it actually play out is pretty next level.
So awesome.
Okay, so before we get into fan questions, what super surprised you the most?
Alabama and Tennessee, of course. Like I was pretty candid last week about just how much I thought Tennessee was in the driver's seat, and I really saw in no world that Alabama could even compete with them. Truly, like I was like, oh no, easy. Tennessee got this. Tennessee punched their ticket, no problem. And they proved me so wrong. It made me look so stupid. And that's just how beautiful the postseason is. Like, it doesn't matter what you've done all year. All that matters is that you're here now. Everybody has a blank slate. Batting averages don't matter. ERAs do not matter. It matters who can perform in the clutch, who can perform when it really matters, who really believes in the people around them, who believes in their coaching staff. And it shows, and it's craziness. And gosh, it was really fun to see Alabama celebrate because it just meant a little bit more. Like they had a really rough season. They did not have a lot to cheer about and get excited for all season long. So to really stay in the fight, and obviously you had a group of people that really were bought in even through the tough. So that was cool, and obviously heart broke for Tennessee as well, just what they've accomplished all year long. And Kiki Malloy, oh gosh, what a great career, and just someone who she's like been such a good example for our sport and has done such a great job. She's been so good, but it's always like played the game the right way, and just, you know, you hate that for someone like that to end their career like that.
Yeah, 100%. Even being there in person at the Stanford Super Regional and seeing some of the greats for LSU, like their careers come to an end because they were such an upperclassman led team with like Sarah Briggs, right? Like Kelly Lynch in her last year was there. Like there were so many people where you're like, wow, Taylor Pleasance, it's hard to believe it's their last year, but I agree with you that they made such an impact moving forward that it's not like they're going away forever, because their impact will still be there, but we just won't get to see them in the same way.
Totally.
Yeah. Definitely this time of year is the time of year where all those intangibles kick in. I think you're right, where it's like the culture that you've built. If you've gone through adversity and you just have that sort of gritty approach or not, or did you kind of roll through the season? You know, all of those things, like this is where we see it all pay off, which is part of why we like it so much, I think.
Oh, it's the best.
All right, we did get some questions about the Women's College World Series from the fans. First one is, who do you think will win the UCLA and Alabama matchup?
I'm going to pick UCLA with this. And maybe just Alabama's just going to keep proving me wrong, but I really feel like UCLA is in a really good spot right now. Maya Brady seems absolutely unstoppable. If I'm Alabama, I'm going to walk her or hit her probably. And maybe Charlize Palacios as well, because they just can't be stopped. Like, oh my gosh, every time I look up, especially in a big clutch moment, they're hitting a home run, getting a clutch hit, all the things. Like, they are in postseason form. They're ready to roll. And I think UCLA, they have a special thing going on. You know, that thing they talk about, the Bruin magic and yada, 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 whatever. They're talking about it a lot. They looked really emotional and so excited when they won. And like, oh gosh, that part like gets me, because nothing better than loving the people around you so much and then getting to end, you know, that team's journey in Oklahoma City. So they look like they're really tight right now. And so that's something that you can't mess with. Alabama does too, but I'm just saying, it just looked like it's a special group that UCLA has right now in the way that they feel about each other.
I know what you're saying, because it is like that X factor, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even necessarily super. I mean, some of it is tangible, actually, with, like you said, it, Charlize Palacios. She has 20 home runs on the year. 7 of them have been since the start of the Pac-12 tournament. And then
I'm not pitching to her. I'm literally not pitching to her. I would rather walk in a run, like bases loaded. I am going to maybe hit her like in the leg or something, or walk her. Like, no, I'm not letting you beat me with a home run. Like, stop pitching to her. Literally, or keep pitching to her. But like,
yeah, at your own risk.
Literally.
I mean, because she's hit 2 home runs in a game a couple of times, including the last game against Georgia in the Super too. So it's not like she's a one and done either.
No,
she's always a threat. So you said her 7 starters for them are also hitting 300 or above, and they're 323 as a team coming into the World Series, which is just solid, especially considering their strength of schedule that they've had this year.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. And Kelly I had hired a sports psychologist this year, and like she's talked about it a little bit, but I think we're seeing really the ripple effect and how big it's grown coming into this postseason too. She said that like the players can kind of tap in as they want to. No one's forced to utilize him or anything like that, but like a good amount of people have been, and that it's made a really big difference with all the adversity they faced. So I feel like we talk about the mental game all the time, but like, boom, there it is right there.
They look unfazed.
Yeah. Unfazed. I will say, to your point too, Caleb Beaver is a challenge. Like, don't get it twisted, right? Like a 1.58 ERA on the season.
100%. Her win and loss, they don't really accurately tell like how good she's been this year. Like she has been really incredible, has gone deep in a lot of games, has proven that she can throw a lot of innings. Like she has been a workhorse for them. So fun to watch and has been so competitive. She obviously loves being in Alabama. That's been really cool. I totally agree with you. Great point. I'm glad you said it, because we didn't give her enough love.
Well, yeah. And I mean, even Jocelyn right behind her, 2.17 ERA, pretty solid, especially coming out of the SEC, right? Like they're by no means, and I don't think any team at this point is taking anyone, lightly. Like we're way past that point. You never do if you're a true competitor, right? But especially now at the World Series, like that doesn't exist. And Alabama does have that grit, that adversity that they've been through as well this season. I think to your point, the offensive support is just where the Bruins have a bit of an advantage. Alabama, I think as a team is hitting 252. They only have 1 or 2 hitters hitting at least 300 or higher. And not that that's everything, right? But it's just when we're taking a look at like, well, what do the numbers show? And the Bruins have scored nearly 100 more runs than the Tide, despite playing 4 less games. So just from that perspective alone, knowing that Taylor Tinsley and Caitlin Terry have really like dialed in,
totally,
it's just they're really tough. That Bruin magic, you said it.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, all right. Next question. Which first round matchups are you most excited to watch? I think I could guess yours, Amanda. You could probably guess mine.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that yours is Stanford, Texas.
Good job. I'm going to guess that yours is Oklahoma State and Florida as well.
Yes. And I would say that that side of the bracket is the most intriguing to me in general. I think that the Stanford, Texas game is my second most, like that I'm most looking forward to watching. And then Oklahoma State, Florida. I just think that Oklahoma State and Florida seem really evenly matched for me right now. So I feel like that's going to be really, really competitive. So that makes me remove my bias and like how I'm excited for the game. I really believe that that's going to be like the most back and forth game. And then obviously I think Stanford and Texas, they've faced each other twice this season.
Yep.
So 2 games to go off of. Obviously it was in the beginning of the season. So they're both totally different teams now than they were at the beginning of the season, but both coming off really hard super regionals where they kind of got punched in the mouth a little bit and kind of rebounded and figured some stuff out. So I think both of them are going to be primed and honestly taking a little bit of an exhale that they made it and like ready to kind of let loose. So I'm really excited for both those matchups.
I agree. I would say Stanford, Texas, I'm most excited about. OSU, Florida is my second on the list. Like same as you, but flipped. And we could have, again, predicted those things from each other. But
yeah,
you're right. Stanford, Texas split games earlier this year. Texas won in Clearwater. Stanford won in Austin for a preseason tournament. but also just who doesn't want to see the number one pitcher versus the number one seed? Like, it's just, 100%. It is what it is. Who doesn't want to watch Nigel Kennedy against Reese Atwood? These are 2 Player of the Year finalists, you know?
I want to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, of course, that's going to be interesting. Yeah. And then, you know, Oklahoma State, Florida, I love the personal part of it too. And we, for us even, because we had the entire Florida coaching staff on this show to talk with Walton and everybody. And then we've also had Lexi Kilfoyle from the Cowgirls, right? Mm-hmm. So we've gotten some insight from both sides. And then just the fact that Tim Walton and Kenny Gajewski were teammates in college and have done all of these like life experiences together is interesting. But you said it too. They played earlier this year. Actually, all of the other matchups, including Duke and Oklahoma, they've all played each other. All 3 of them, mm-hmm. Stanford, Texas, Oklahoma State, Florida, mm-hmm. and Duke, OU. Oklahoma State did beat Florida 3-0 in Gainesville for that last-minute Monday matchup that we talked about after everyone got rained out the second weekend mm-hmm. In Florida. But what's going to happen now? Same with Duke and Oklahoma. The Blue Devils lost 3-0 in Puerto Vallarta for the first game of the season. And they're like the first time at this stage and the millionth time for Oklahoma. Like, so many stories actually for all of these first round matchups.
Yep. And then also I've just reloaded my phone to see Nigel Kennedy, USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year. Did you see that?
I didn't. This is breaking news right now as we're recording this.
News. So exciting for her. That's like so deserved. Amazing. That's so awesome.
It is. That's a really, really big deal. And I would say, I still think, and I think we've all talked about this so many times, there should be a pitcher of the year and a player of the year, because if it was, I think it's easily Nigeria and then Reese Atwood's player, right? Like, it's so straightforward. But
what Reese Atwood has done is incredible.
Yes. So all the credit to her. And then Lexi Kilfoyle too, as a top 3 finalist. Like, all of them are here with their teams too, because sometimes, you know, if you're a finalist but your team's not there, that's a different feeling, right? But they all get to be here to compete, which probably makes it a million times better.
So awesome.
So cool. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I know we both do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask too, you know, we're both lucky because our alma maters are in Oklahoma State or Oklahoma City this year in the state of Oklahoma. Florida and Stanford, right? Like, I love that for us. But when we played, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your experience. Like, how many times did you play in the World Series?
I played in Oklahoma City 3 times in the World Series, my sophomore, junior, and senior years. And I remember, like, you know, my teammates saying, like, I can't wait for you to experience it. Like, it's so cool. And I'm like, you guys, like, do you even know me? Like, I watch so much softball. I know how it's going to be. Like, I know, I watch every year. And then when I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the coolest thing I've ever experienced. Like, the way that your heart races when you walk on the field, so many fans, just so cool for our sport. But I think the thing that really sticks with me about playing in Oklahoma City is, like, you think that your team is close, and then there's something in the air in Oklahoma City that it just feels like everyone is bought into another level. Like, even your role players, your players that are on the bench the majority of the time, like, they turn into different humans, of like the hype humans of the dugout, and just everybody feels like this one cohesive unit, and it's so much fun to be a part of. And each year, like, it felt like that same, like, we just glued together, and it was just so much fun. And so that's the feeling that I just miss so much. Like, I will hold with me forever. Like, oh, it's just the best. What about you, Jenna?
Well, for me, it was like, it's been healing actually as an alum, seeing Stanford make it the last 2 years, because we lost in game 3 in Supers twice during my career, once at home and once on the road. And like, just didn't quite get over the hump in those experiences. But then to see them do it and just play freely and have some of that passion, like what you're talking about, like, not afraid to let that show. I think like that's been really cool as an alum to watch, but then also just with all of these teams as a softball fan, as obviously somebody who covers it, it's like, it's like you get a nice little reminder in the midst of the chaos as to why we love it, you know, at the same time, because sometimes we're like in the middle in the weeds of everything, and it can get kind of chaotic, but there's a reason why we all chose this when we did and stuck with it as long as we have.
100%.
Yeah. When you traveled to Oklahoma City too, like the buildup, because that's kind of where the teams are, right? Like going into the World Series pretty soon here. Like, how was that part of it for you?
Oh, it was pure chaos. So my first time, I won in 3 games each year, and we won at home, luckily. But by game 3, it's like you like to leave like on Monday, so you're leaving Monday for Oklahoma City. So each time that we won, we finish celebrating, get in the locker room, and there's a bus waiting in our parking lot, waiting for all of our gear to get on that bus so they can send the bus to Oklahoma City. So I remember it's just pure chaos. We're celebrating, we're excited. We have our Bound for like OKC Bound hats on as we're like frantically trying to pack the rest of our uniforms and our equipment and get fresh socks, get fresh visors, and get all of this stuff in this bag and send it on the bus. Also, 2 of those times we had to pack clothes as well. So we had clothes waiting in a suitcase at home. We didn't bring them to the field because we felt like that was bad juju, but we had them in our college apartments or our dorms waiting for us in our suitcase so we could run home, grab it, and then put it on the bus so that it could get to Oklahoma City. And then it's just so exciting with your teammates. I remember family being in town. We all would eat after the game and just like couldn't believe the craziness that had happened because all of them come with drama and something crazy and stressful. And then you got up the next morning, met at the field, and got on a chartered plane to go to Oklahoma City. It was a bigger plane and more admin come on. It just definitely feels like it's bigger and more exciting and the best memories of my life.
Yeah. It's just, I'm like, my face is hurting a little bit from smiling so much while you're talking, just because like, that's what everyone's dream is, right? And hearing all of these women say, even in their post-game press conferences after winning in supers, like this has been the dream. So many of them said that, and they get to live it. Like that's literally what it's all about. So it's so
and it's
cool.
even better than you dreamed of. Like, I was like, yeah, that was my dream. Like, but yeah, guys, like, I know how it is. No, you don't know how it is. It is the coolest thing ever. Like, oh my God, it's so cool.
Oh man. I feel like we'll head into Win and Whiff the week in a second here, but I feel like just all of these things that we've talked about just now really are a win of this week.
Yeah, agreed. Just our sport, and just I can't wait to see when they release the viewership numbers from Super Weekend, because it just felt like everybody had to have been paying attention for our sport, and just it was on full display about how fun it is to watch these athletes do some really cool things. Duke was so fun to watch. Like, I'm so excited for them. They so deserve it. Like Kelly Torres, I just want to give Kelly Torres her flowers a little bit. Like, the way that she leads behind the plate is awesome. Like, catchers obviously do not get enough love, but she is pretty incredible. You could tell that they all respect her, and she's such a calm leading voice on that team. And it was really fun to see her kind of take control, and just so excited for that group and head coach Marissa Young. Like, really, in year 7, they're going to Oklahoma City.
It's
pretty
impressive.
Remarkable.
So impressive. And also, can we just talk about the catchers across the board for a second with this group? It's insane. So you mentioned Torres, right? Then Kinsey Hansen with OU, Wang with Oklahoma State, Ali Kaneshiro won the Gold Glove last year with Stanford. Like, we could just keep going. Charlize Palacios, we already mentioned, right? Like, I am so excited even just for that position alone. And I wasn't even a catcher. Like, you weren't a catcher either, right? But like, we know how much goes into that our teammates, had to manage. And I'm always very impressed by it. So I agree.
It's like the most elite catchers in the country are going to be on full display for us. So I think that's really cool. And getting a little lefty in there with Jocelyn Erickson, Reese Howard, who is like the player of the year, not pitcher of the year, but player. And, it's just like so good. It's going to be so good.
Yes. And thank you for mentioning Jocelyn Erickson as well.
Yep.
Because obviously had to give her love.
Yeah, come on.
So many good ones. All right. Well, I guess with that being said, we can head into our Win and Whiff. Or no, wait. We're going into Plays of the Week, aren't we? First.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I was too excited for the wins, obviously.
Yeah, I get it.
But for plays of the week, a million different things we could have chosen between. I feel like you and I were both like texting like, oh, this is my play of the week. Actually, this is going to be it. Ooh, I'm actually changing it to this one.
Yeah, just kept getting better and better.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So mine is a defensive play, shocker, from Super Regionals. And it was in a game 3, which we saw so many good plays from. But this was at the Stanford Super Regional.
Out to left field, the outfielders were playing in. Chan makes the catch. Her throw to the plate. Kanashiro's tag, and it's an inning-ending double play.
I just love like a good outfield throw on a play at the plate. Like, look at this tag from Ali Kanashiro. Like, first of all, I need to find the photographer who took this photo because it's like absolutely unreal. Like, this should be blown up somewhere. But just the athleticism of her making the tag, like the fact that the situation was so big too. It was scoreless. They were in the 5th. Bases were loaded with 1 out. And then they were able to turn that double play the way that they did. And then right after that is when they scored those 7 runs and then eventually ended up run rolling to go to Oklahoma City. So it's like those moments, right, that like, oh, it just changes everything. And seeing Ali Kanashiro, she's a pretty relaxed, like very chill, but Nigel's obviously super fiery. So I love when I see Nigel kind of bring that out of Ali. That's always fun too.
So good, perfectly executed in such a huge moment. So awesome. All right, I'm up, and I actually chose a defensive play as well. There was like so many. I almost chose the Maya home run from A&M, but we had to choose. I loved this defensive play from the A&M and Texas series.
It can be against righties.
Stewart, ground ball toward the middle. Woolley gets 1. Woolley gets 2. What a play. What a move by Trisha Ford. The Aggies turn 2 brilliantly on the infield.
Unbelievable play. So good. A&M was playing their best softball of the year in Austin, Texas this weekend when it really mattered. God, they were so good. It was so fun to watch. And they kind of had a fan. Like, I was kind of rooting for A&M there for a second. I was like, are they? And that's coming from a former number 1 seed that got upset by a 16 seed, and it still hurts, still pains me. So, you know, there was some trauma there, and I still was like kind of into A&M. Like, oh my God, they were so fun to watch. That play was just incredible.
So good. So good. Also, they had multiple plays, like the one that went off the catch or the pitcher's glove, and then they dove, the middle infield dove and caught it.
Mm-hmm. So good.
I think at one point that was my play of the week, right? But then we kept switching. So good. Like, so impressive. Also, I love that, like, I gave your outies some love and you gave my innies some love. That kind of makes me happy.
I don't know what week this is together, but we're rubbing off on one another.
We are. I like it. Oh, such good ones. Well, now we will move into the win and whiff of the week. This week's win of the week was super special. We've touched on it already a little bit, but we just have to reinforce the fact that Duke has made it to the Women's College World Series for the first time in program history. And their program history is only 7 years long. You said it earlier, Amanda, like what head coach Marissa Young has done with this group is so incredible. And then if you factor in even all of the personal stuff that she has dealt with over this last year, like her husband with his health struggles and working through that as a group, to throw that in there on top of like, but then she's doing stuff like this on the field. I mean, even forget the results, just the fact that she was competing and done what she's done with the team in general is so impressive.
And she's a mom. Like, how many kids does she have? Like 4 or 5 kids? Like, she has a lot of kids.
A lot of kids. They're being recruited to play collegiately too. Like
does she ever sleep?
I doubt it. There's no way.
Like, just so incredible. But her group, I mean, they looked so tough and ready to roll all weekend long. Like, so poised. It almost looked like did not faze them to be playing on the road. Gosh, it was really fun and just exciting to see them clinch and just, you know, get that moment. Gosh, it was really special to watch. And I'm so excited for that program.
And like the way to prove like, hey, we're not a 10 seed is to win, right? And they did it. Like they lost at home last year as an 8 seed. They won this year as a 10 seed. Like, love to see it.
Love it. All right, here we go for the whiff of the week. So I'm going to pick Texas over Texas A&M. I'm going to go with OU over Florida State. I have Tennessee winning over Alabama, and I think that's going to be. I think that Tennessee is really going to give it to Alabama. I am going to venture to say one of them is going to be a run rule. I think that's going to Tennessee just looks like they're in a really, really good spot right now. So about that, I don't know. See, my dog is even barking at me saying
that was a whiff, Mom.
Yeah, he's like, you are stupid. No, Blue. Thank you. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that I said that in the postseason. Like, I should know better that anything can happen. And Alabama proved me wrong. What a whiff of the week for me to say that. They looked like a totally different team. They were incredible. Doesn't matter what the outside world, anybody is saying. Nobody has to believe in them but themselves. And they proved that. And they were so fun to watch. They looked like a completely different Alabama team that we had seen all year long. Kayla Beaver was in pure. She looked her same self. So great. Obviously, she just had some offense to kind of back her up. That they've been pretty silent all year. So obviously working hard at it. No one wants to go out there and not score runs. They're obviously working. So incredibly exciting to see it come through when it really mattered the most. And like, what a whiff by me. Like, I really thought like, I was like, I almost like they could have merged them in 2 games. Like, I did not think Alabama had a chance.
You know, I'll take some responsibility too. You saw me. I was like, yep, they might. I was right there with you.
And wow, like this was a different Alabama team, and like it was fun to watch, and they proved me wrong.
It was, and yes, and I love that. I mean, and you've mentioned it a few times throughout the season as we talk about different things. You're like, if this is bulletin board material, then cool. Like I feel like part of what's great about sports is being proven wrong, you know? So
yeah, and it's just what we think in the moment. Like I wasn't rooting on their downfall. Like it is what it is. But I just felt like while I'm watching this, I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Like I couldn't believe my eyes, but also it was just really cool. And also the celebrations and the post-game press conferences and just like post-game interviews, just how exciting, it was. And just, they talked about, Patrick Murphy talked about redemption and just how it's the first time in 28 years that they've had a losing record in the SEC.
Yeah.
And they're still making it to the World Series. Like, that's really what your season gets defined as, right? Like, Did you make it or not? If you made it, no matter what happened the whole year, it's a successful year if you're ending your career or ending your season in Oklahoma City and that you're doing just that.
To make it when you're not at your best, in some ways, even more impressive, right? And they had to beat a Tennessee team. Like, I feel like people had opinions, including myself, about the way their regional was set up, maybe them hosting, blah, blah, blah. But they beat a Tennessee team that were the regular season champs in the SEC, the number 3 national seed, top 10 in RPI and DSR, and a pitching staff that finished their season at number 2 in the nation with an ERA of 1.43. With Pickens and Gottschall, as we know, right?
Craziness. Like, that is a big deal. And it also, like, love it for Alabama. I'm so excited to watch them on that stage. They earned it. But I'm sad that we don't get to see Gottschall and Carlin Pickens pitch at the World Series. Like, I was excited for that group. Just, it really sucks when a team who has proven themselves each weekend, that was the only series they lost all year long. And obviously, I mean, it is what it is. That's why you have a super regional. You have to win when it matters at this time of the year. But you just hate it for a team that's been so consistent.
Yeah.
And it's obviously really, they've had a high standard of themselves all year long. And so I do hate it for them. Like, my heart breaks for them.
Yeah. And honestly, I can relate. Like I said, I lost two game 3s in supers. One of them was at home to Arizona, who we had beaten in this regular season series in the PAC earlier that year. And then that year is when Washington ended up winning the national title, and we had beaten them in a series, right? But it's like, but who won when it mattered the most?
Exactly.
It's part of softball. And Beth Serena kind of said this in a general sense after super. She was like, it's softball, like, it breaks your heart. We love it. but it can break your heart. That's part of it. But the highs are worth it.
The highs are worth it.
Oh, man. Well, in terms of what's next, I mean, I mentioned earlier, I'm here in Oklahoma City, so excited to cover the World Series with D1Softball, of course, throughout. UCLA alum and national champion Paige Halstead's going to be joining me on site, which is super exciting. And I'm sure Amanda and I are going to be in contact quite a bit just throughout all of the games going on, but also pretty cool. Like, you'll be watching your Gators, but the fact that Clemson baseball regionals are happening this weekend, that's a lot. That's a lot of fun.
And stress. A lot of fun and stress, but definitely thankful and excited. I get to watch my Gators from my home, and then hopefully Clemson baseball wins. And then next week, if the Gators are still playing, maybe I'll make my way out there.
I'm not against it. Just saying.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, good luck to your husband and the Clemson baseball program.
Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, we know what regionals is like, right? It's like we just went through it. For you to kind of have to go through this like twice back to back, that's
guys,
good,
it's a lot.
Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and manage my heart rate, but we'll do. It's a blessing. It's all exciting.
It is. Good problem to have.
You want to be stressed at this time of the year.
True.
You don't want to be relaxed. That's not good.
True, because that means you're probably not playing anymore. Like
exactly. Because if they're playing, I'm stressed.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
The Tigers are playing, I'm stressed.
Just is what it is.
And here's what it is.
Yeah. We will also be, by the way, hosting a live Women's College World Series preview with the D1Softball squad. This is Wednesday, the night before all of the games start. This is at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can join us there. We're going to be talking everything World Series. There's even more to talk about than just what me and Amanda talked about, if you can believe it. But yes, there is. So we're excited about that too.
Can't wait.
Yes. And then also, if you stuck around to the very end, congratulations to you, because we do have our Mayhem discount code. You can stay up to date on all the World Series action with D1Softball. Use code Mayhem20 to save 20% on an annual subscription, and you can visit d1softball.com/subscribe to register and access all of our premium content. There is so much in there. I was a subscriber before I ever worked with D1 because it was so helpful and so insightful. So highly recommend.
Same.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. I can't believe this is already here. We're already at the World Series, but we're excited. And subscribe, rate the show. Let us know what other things you want to talk to us about or for us to talk about, because it's what we're here for. And we love doing this every week.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.